So as promised, we're going to spend a little bit of time on these attributes. So what I want you to pay attention to is each individual part of this link tag, and just get used to the fact that the attribute goes here. Inside of the first element, what I'm calling here is the element start tag. See, it kind of goes right there. If you want to add another one, you just hit a space and then another one of these, another equal sign, and another value, and so on and so forth. Again, our element starts here and ends here. Before we close our first element, we're going to add an href attribute, or an attribute name of any kind, in this case href. We're always going to set it equal to something, and that thing will always be a value inside of quotation marks, which in this case, google.com, or whatever URL you want the link to take you to. Link title is what you're going to see on your screen. You're going to see just the words link title, because that's what you've written in between the A tags, and it will glow, and when you click it, it will take you to the URL that you've set. And then you close it. Element start, the attributes, the value, in this case field URL, what you see on the site, and element end. Third thing you need to memorize in this course is how attributes work. Stare at this slide until you got it down, and if you see errors, you probably left out this caret, or you probably left out a quotation mark, or you might have misspelled href. All are very common, all take work to do right, and I still mess them up, so just always go through your head, oh, I possibly misspelled something. I possibly missed something here because there's a lot of syntax going on here. If you forget the equal sign, you're screwed. If you forget the E, you're screwed. If you forget the caret, you're screwed. So practice, and we're going to go over it again and again. One more time. The attribute name can be anything. Well, anything that's from a selection, right? In our case, we're doing href, but later on we'll learn about src, which is source. And what's another? And then target blank. So far we know those three. They always have the same syntax though. It's the name of the attribute followed by an equal sign and then the value inside of quotation marks. Remember that as well. Let's look at a link tag. There's the element start. Here's one attribute, one equal sign, one value, a space, and just a space, no comma, nothing else. And then another attribute name, which in this case is called target. You see how it's red. That's how you know they're attributes. And then the equal sign, because we know we have to set it equal to. And then the value that is inside of quotations, which in this case is underscore blank. So all you want to memorize here is the element start, element end, and then attribute equal value syntax, which is then just repeated one more time, all before that first tag ends. As you can see, we still have the closing one here untouched right over there. Here's an image one. Notice how it's self-closing. It still has the same kind of style though. It starts and ends at a certain point, but unlike our A tag, it doesn't have a regular closing one. Oh, this copy's bothering me. It just ends like our BR tag. Don't worry about that. We're going to get into that in the next slide, I believe. But just to show you that these attributes have different names and these values have different values. They're completely different. But what you need to memorize is the fact that it happens within the first tag, which in this case is the only tag. I know that's confusing, as I almost laughed as I said it. But still, over here we have the same. Attribute, equal sign, value, space, attribute, equal, value, end. Or you could keep going and add more attributes. But get this part down, and you'll be good for what's to come. All HTML elements can have attributes. An attribute provides additional information about the element, right? So in this case, we're adding what the width of this image is going to be and what the image is going to be, because the URL is that image. Over here, we're defining this is where the link goes to, and I want that link to behave a certain way. I want it to open up a new tab. It opens up in the same tab by default, so you have to set this to change the behavior. In this case, we're just changing the size and adding what picture. This one is crucial. This one is necessary. Just like the destination for the link is necessary. It opening up in a new tab or being a certain size, that's optional. So let's take a look at some of these different attributes. Copy each one of the lines of code and see what they do. I do here? Let's remove this. Oh, I gotta fix that. Refresh. Let's just add these all together and let's see what they do. So to reiterate, for the challenge here, all you want to do is take this code and just right here underneath the HR, well to the bottom, just put it here so you can see what each individual one does. So let's start with 1. We're going to grab this over here, put it over here, and see how it looks. Check it out. Click here. This is a link. This is the one we're looking at down here. Let me add some BR tags here so we can be cool. Oh, it's not what I wanted to happen. Never mind, we're learning, folks. Okay. So you can see the whole thing is wrapped up in a link, and if you hover over here, when you hover over here, take a look at this area. You see that you know what link it's going to go to because that's what was set here in the href. But we know that one. Let's see what an image one looks like. There's our puppy. We're going to do images in the next one, but as far as attributes are concerned, this is the attribute SRC, and here's the value, which is what the puppy looks like. And just a hint, if you take this SRC, which is really just a URL, and you put it into your browser, here's the puppy by itself. So pretty much it works just like the link, except it grabs the image, right? We're saying, computer, I want an image tag, and the computer says, okay, no problem. What image would you like? And then here in the source, you say, well, go to this website and take the image that's on this website. And the computer's going to be like, great. I went to the website, and the only thing there was this picture, and then it serves you back the picture. That's pretty much how it works, but the concept is the same. Attribute followed by a equal sign, followed by quotation marks, and inside the quotation marks, a value. Let's take a look at this one down here. Okay, here we have an alt tag, which is, so everything is the same, image, attribute, value, and then another attribute here called alt. It says puppy running through a field. It seems to be a description of the image. So let me just show you a common error. Let's say you were copying this text and you forgot the quotation mark. The whole thing kind of breaks down in an interesting way that I wasn't expecting, actually. Let's see what happens. What I wanted to see was an error sign. If we, for example, leave out this 0. Oh, it's setting its width here. Very interesting. How about this, for some reason you forgot this P or you were copying it by hand, and anyway, the URL is incorrect. If you make an error of the URL destination, the computer's not going to know what website to go to grab the picture. So when you set an alt tag, interesting, hold on. I gotta fix that too. So what you're seeing here is puppy run through a field, which is the alt tag. The alt tag is an attribute that kind of sits in the background. When your image is broken for a number of different reasons, it displays this text along with the error sign so that people know there was supposed to be an image here and here's what the image was about. So add the alt tag as kind of a backup in case your pictures break with a descriptive text about what the picture is. Let's take a look at this one. This is a red paragraph. The style attribute, just similar to the style tag that which we're going to learn, and later on with external CSS, which we're going to learn about, we're pretty much setting an attribute called style to this value. So we see attribute equals and then value, always the same. But in this case, we're doing color red. Now that's advanced CSS stuff, but the concept, one more time, remains the same, and I'm beating you over the head with it because it's really that important to get this down. There's the tag, followed by the attribute, followed by the equal sign, followed by the value, and then the closing part of that first one, and then you're all set. Let's take a look at the tooltip. This one is pretty rare, but it's kind of cool. What happens when you scroll over? Here I am, the tooltip. So you add an attribute called title, you put in the phrase that you want to pop up, and when you scroll over that element, it comes up. And that's all it is. An example of how these attributes can be kind of fun, and they can do things on their own when employed correctly or in the right spots. It can really be helpful. Let's just do a div that has a specific size and width and height. What's going on here? That one's not working right. Let's see what happens if I just delete everything. Forget about that one for now. There we go. That's what I wanted to happen. Pretty much we're setting an image here, but we didn't set a source, so it's empty, but we did set the width attribute equals value to 400 pixels and the height attribute equals value to 400 pixels, and that's why it's a square of 400 pixels on all sides, but it has no source, so it has no image, so it's empty. And last but not least, the HTML tag, which we're going to get into in lesson 4, sets the language to English, but just so you know, a lot of these attributes do work in the background, and some are not important or some are just invisible, but the concept is the same. Practice, practice, practice. Now we're going to come back to this video in a second on the next one, and we're going to get all into image tags and then followed by the challenges and then wrap up this lesson 1.